Hi everybody! So many people have been asking me about my Orchard Corset CS-411. So I'm going to be doing a review for this today. However, full disclosure, I did receive this corset as a prototype the last time that I was there at Orchard Corset headquarters back in February. But even though the fashion fabric is different, the construction methods and everything should still be the same. So without further ado, the CS-411 review. So here's the front, side, back, and other side. The center front of this corset is 10 inches and the shortest part at the side is about 8.5 inches high. Orchard Corset considers this a level 2 silhouette, so I believe the difference between the waist and the rib cage is about 4 inches, and between the waist and the hips is about 8 inches. On this particular corset it's a size 24 because that's the size that most of their prototypes come in, and the ribcage is about 28 inches and the hips are about 32 inches. I would consider this a gentle hourglass silhouette, and on me this corset fits more like a cincher than it does a full underbust corset. The hips are not long line, it comes right to my iliac crest but does not go over it, and I have at least 2 inches of space between the top of the corset and where my underbust actually is. So if you have a very fleshy torso, you might want to try a slightly longer or higher corset to prevent any muffin top from forming. If you have any lower pooch, you might want to consider a long line corset. However, if you have a shorter torso, then this may fit like a proper full underbust on you. So here's a corset laying flat, and for the material of this, there are 3 layers in here. For the fashion fabric, this is sort of a coarse weave, sort of polyester brocade. And once again, this specific style is not available on the Orchard Corset website. But if you were to buy one of their polyester covered corsets like the black pinstripe corset, or if you go for their cotton, they're all cotton corsets, then it will probably behave similar to this one. And I very much prefer this sort of fashion fabric compared to their satins because this one is thicker, it doesn't wrinkle as much, it just feels sturdier, and it's much less likely to get pulls from fraying or anything like that. So onto the interlining fabric. It's backed onto a cotton interlining. They only picked out a very small piece here. Here is the fashion fabric, and here is the white interlining underneath here. And then on the inside for the lining is this black regular twill. For the construction of this corset has 8 panels total, so 4 panels on each side. This pattern feels very similar to the Isabella Corsetry bat cincher that I had before. I believe her cinchers have 4 panels, and actually I thought it was really interesting because her Josephine corset has 6 panels in a very similar shape to the CS-426. So they might be actually working from very similar patterns, except Isabella's patterns are much curvier than Orchard Corsets. But back to the construction and assembly. This corset has been assembled using a lock stitch with the seam allowances pressed open, and then it was flat lined to the lining layer. And this corset is then double boned, 2 bones on the seams here with the bones sandwiched in between the layers. If I pull this corset taut, on the inside you might be able to see the waist tape. It's a 1 inch wide waist tape, invisibly stitched, running through the entire width of the corset here. And here's a close-up of the binding. It's nothing particularly special. It's standard black satin bias tape that's machine stitched on the outside and on the inside, and there are no garter tabs in this corset. There's a Modesty panel in the back of this corset that is 5 inches wide, so it has about, I would say, 3 inches of usable space. And it is attached on one side of the corset. You can remove the stitching there if you want to remove the Modesty panel. It's made from 2 layers, a black satin on the outside and a twill on the inside, unstiffened of course. And there is no Modesty placket underneath the busk here. The busk itself is 9 inches long and just under 1 inch wide with 4 busk pins. It is fairly heavy duty, fairly stiff. This corset has 16 bones total, 8 on each side. Of those, 6 on each side are spiral steel bones. Each spiral steel bone is about a little bit over 1/4 inch wide, and you can see that it's double boned on the seam, so you can see 2, 4, 6, and another 6 on the other side. And then on the back by the grommets on each side, there are another 2 flats. Here's a close-up of the grommets. There are 20
2-part size 00 grommets, I believe, in this corset, so 10 on each side. They have a pretty small flange around them. None of them appear to be ripping out. And here is a close-up of the underside of the grommets. You can see that the washer is about the same size, and every one of these are split. However, it's not catching too much on the laces, so I'm not that worried. Now, about these laces, these are flat nylon laces and they're a little bit springy. If you have the extra few dollars to get some flat double-faced satin ribbon or something to go along with your corset, I highly recommend you do, because it will just reduce a lot of frustration when you're trying to lace up this corset.
The CS-411 Underbust corset currently retails for about $69 on the Orchard Corset website. So this concludes the review for this prototype CS-411 Underbust corset by Orchard Corset. If you did like this review or you found it informative, be sure to click that like button over there. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comments below. I'd be happy to get back to you, and I'll see you in a few days for the next video. Bye.